It's now time to recap episode 8 of season 46 of Survivor. I say it every time, but each week truly gets better. This cast, I almost don't even know how to describe them at this point because I've used all the good words. They are crazy. I've not seen anything like this in a very long time.
They're their own island. They're their own thing.
They have truly made Survivor the Hunger Games. Like,
Literally.
It is seriously survival of the fittest. It is insane.
It's crazy.
So we start with this kind of post-tribal fallout because the last tribal before this episode, Q does this weird stunt where he's like,
vote me out,
vote me out, whatever. And then also there's like some things that come out. Like, for example, Charlie told Tiff that Q was going to vote her out, and then also that people now know that Tiff has an idol because of Q. So Tiff comes back, she chews him out. Kenzie's like done with him, she's annoyed. Half the tribe is like, why do you keep doing this?
They're like, we don't want to talk to you, we don't want to associate with you. And I mean, I don't blame them because Q, I liked Q at the beginning of this season, but as more time has gone on, he is just off the walls. You don't know what he's going to do. You don't know what mood he's going to be in. It's almost like he's a little bit bipolar or something.
He's like unhinged, but in the worst way.
Yes.
You know, like I think there's a good and bad of that. And he's like
a chaotic unhinged.
Yeah, it's honestly annoying at this point, if I'm being honest. Like at first it was kind of funny because you're like, oh my gosh, what's Q going to do this week? And now I'm just like, nothing you do makes sense, and it's not good gameplay. Like, and that's the thing is he backs everything he does up by saying like, oh, it's strategic, or oh, this is gameplay, and it's like, no, it's not. None of this is strategic. No. You just look stupid.
Well, originally when he started doing that in Tribal, I was like, is he somehow doing a weird strategy? But then I'm like, nah, that's just too. There's too much going on where it's like controlled enough. So.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on with this man. So then we get to the immunity challenge, and this was really exciting because they're divided out into teams. But here's what's funny is Tiff immediately is like, oh, it's me, Kenzie, Ben, we're gonna go.
Yep.
And then it was
Liz, Charlie, and Hunter.
Yes, which that was very strong. Maria, Charlie.
Yeah, Maria. Yeah,
very strong team. And then it was like the leftovers of Liz, Q, and Venus, which was just very funny, very fitting. So they start, and the first thing I remember is they have to get across this kind of beam, which was kind of over a part of mud, and then the last team to finish that is out.
Yes.
Then they go to the second part, which I think it might have been a puzzle or maybe they were crawling over something. I don't know, not important, but here's the thing. So then from that point, then the next team or I guess whoever finishes last then is out. The last part is what's the most important and most riveting of this whole thing, is the final 3 left of everyone on the tribe then do this challenge where they have to hang on a wall, like this pole almost.
Yeah.
But their feet are on this small little step.
Well, not even I would say their heels.
Yeah.
If anything, that's about it. And they have to keep their arms and they can't move it.
Yeah.
Like their feet or arms.
And it's basically just who can last the longest.
And it came down, like last week's episode, to a showdown between Charlie and Hunter. And I'm happy to say the Hunter won. Not Hunter, sorry, Charlie won.
Yes.
I love Charlie, and I'm very happy that he won.
It was interesting, too, because Hunter's been so dominant that it was exciting to see someone who's maybe considered quote-unquote weaker challenge-wise win. But also it was interesting because Maria definitely held her own. Like, I kind of thought she was going to win, and then she fell down.
Yeah.
What's most fascinating about this, though, is so Charlie wins, then we get back to camp. And then it's like this all-out brawl-out of, like, what are we going to do tonight at Tribal? Because people know that Tiff has an idol. So Kenzie comes out of left field and she's like, let's just get Tiff out. Yeah. We'll get her out. We'll blindside her and then her idol will be out too. Right. Which was weird.
Right. Well, and Maria wanted Tiff out too. And then when Kenzie comes to her with this proposition, she's like, well, now I'm like, I don't, you know, I think
she wants it to be her move.
Yeah, she wants it to be her move in the future. Rough calling back. But I mean, I feel like it's almost smarter to let somebody else make the big move like that and not have the target on your back. But
yeah, but I guess if you get to the end, you want that on your resume.
That's
I don't
very
know.
true.
But but then what's also interesting is so all these names are being thrown around, and then Tiff's like, I'm gonna use my idol because like I think she's starting to get a little bit suspicious. So then everyone's like, well, what do we do now? So then Q's name is thrown out again, of course. And they're like, let's just vote out Q. Then though, Hunter is like getting really nervous, so he finally is like, I'm using my idol. Like I'm gonna use an idol tonight. And they're like, what in the world? So we get to Tribal Council. And it becomes kind of what feels like this showdown between Tiff and Q of like Q totally just like throwing Tiff under the bus and Tiff defending everything Q is throwing at her. Yeah. But then at the same time, Hunter is like falling apart at the seams in his seat because he's like, I don't know what to do. He keeps looking at Kenzie for reassurance. He's like, do I use my idol? Do I not? How are we voting? What's going on? And honestly, I will say that editing on this Tribal Council was extremely interesting from the show because you really had no idea what was going to happen, in my opinion. Because I was like, I really have no idea who's going to go.
The whole time, everybody's mumbling back behind, like, doing this, doing that. And Hunter's always like, we're still good, right? We're still not, I'm still safe, right? And it's like, It was
I
a
don't
very
know.
interesting
Yeah.
tribal council.
So we get down to the votes, or the votes come out. Jeff says, anyone want to use their idol? Tiff didn't use hers, Hunter didn't. So they both went against their word, which was kind of funny. But smart for one, maybe not smart for the other. So then the votes are read. It's a tie between Q and Hunter to go home. So then, of course, in true Survivor fashion, they revote. Hunter, Q cannot vote, but everyone else votes again. And then the second time around, Hunter goes. Which I will say, as chaotic as Q is, I think it was smart because Hunter was probably the biggest.
He's a challenge
One of the
beast.
biggest threats, yeah.
He almost won again against Charlie. And I feel like if he would have kept him around, he would have continued. He would have been the biggest threat for them for sure. And I'm honestly surprised he made as far as he did with how good he was at challenges.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It was a very interesting episode, which also leads me to say that I'm interested to see where things go from here because I'm like, will the target go back to Tiff? Will Tiff like kind of reclaim where she was at? Will Kinsey kind of go back to Tiff or will she continue to be against her?
Next week's
what is
promo
Maria's plan? Like,
looks so interesting.
Yeah, it
like
looks
a big
very
blow up.
good. Yeah.
I'm excited for it. Now, just for a quick second, veering away from 46, I feel like we need to say that Jeff, what he said about season 50, that season 50 will be an all-star season.
Yes, an all-returners, which I'm very excited because we've seen no returnees besides like Bruce, I guess, in the new era. And that used to be like a Survivor staple. Every few seasons they would have returners, whether it was all cast, half cast, whatever. But what's funny is also alumni have blown up on social media, like kind of joking about like planting seeds to do alliances and kind of work together for season 50. So anyway, lots of cool things happening with Survivor. A brand new episode on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus this Wednesday. Check it out.